civilization of the solar gods, what kind of entities could be living on the sun? There is a theory according to which a certain information field exists around the Earth, the noosphere, having to do with consciousness. With the help of special manipulations, enlightened people can connect to it and read the necessary data, and this hypothesis still causes a lot of controversy. Representatives of traditional scientific views deny its existence, while various mediums, contactees, informants, and psychics, on the contrary, declare that the noosphere exists. Consciousness, that is. Researchers have repeatedly tried to explain this hypothesis from a scientific point of view, but at this stage of human development, it's extremely difficult to do so. But slowly but surely, researchers are moving in this direction, and today we can say that there could be indeed life on the sun. Since ancient times, our ancestors worshipped the sun god. The ancient Egyptians, Ra, the ancient Greeks, Helios, the Incas, Inti. On the one hand, the sun is a personification of warmth, light, and justice, and on the other hand, it's a merciless destroyer of all living things, bringing death and hunger. But what do we know about the main illuminary of the planetary system? This is a star, a huge hot ball, the temperature on the surface of which is approximately 6,000 degrees Celsius, and in the center reaches 16 million degrees. The sun is composed mainly of hydrogen and helium, and thermonuclear reactions occur in its core. In practice, our sun is a plasma body. Recently, telescopes aimed at the sun began to record increased activity of some strange objects near its corona, which do not care about the incredible temperature. They seem to perform some actions they need. According to one version, these are magnetic disturbances, the nature of which is not known to science. And according to another theory, alien spaceships are fueled with hydrogen in the atmosphere of the sun. Each suggests a plasma form of life that originated millions or billions of years ago. There are many versions, and all have the right to exist. But can intelligent life forms live at such temperatures? Quite, after all, there are examples of this even on Earth. For example, on the thermal crater on the equatorial floor of the Atlantic Ocean, heated to 407 degrees Celsius, shrimp and other living organisms live. Their habitat is heated above the melting point of lead, so it can be assumed that life on the surface of the sun may well exist. And what is life, after all? In the understanding of the average person, this is the entire biosphere that surrounds our world. Plants, animals, birds, fish, people, and so on. But in fact, the concept of life is not limited to the biological factor. There is a mineral form of life, metaphysical, plasma, quasi-life, and many other more complex types. Even the ancient sages argued that an element and energy can be made alive. You just need to endow it with a soul. In the sun's depths, the temperature reaches the monstrous 14 billion degrees Celsius. The corona is around 1.5 million degrees Celsius. On the surface, it's just a little more than 5.7 thousand degrees Celsius. But the most amazing thing is the layer below the surface. It has a temperature of only a few hundred degrees. But how is this possible? Imagine two hot layers and a thin layer between them, which for an inexplicable reason does not heat up. This is where the plasmoids are located. According to physics and mediums who know how to read information from the information field of the star, point to this coldest layer of the sun. Relatively speaking, the star is a huge container of souls. After the physical death of the host, they end up there, transfer the information accumulated during life to a common bank, information system, and then they have several ways to continue their existence. One of them is returning to the physical body, the second is rebirth. To do this, the soul goes to the core where the temperature is the highest there. Under conditions of severe pressure and temperature, the plasmoid stops its path and disintegrates into thousands of elementary particles in order to begin its new path into another star. The cores of stars are energy information portals. The third is stopping the cycle. The plasmoid has the right to remain in its true form and live for some time while in the star. And based on this knowledge, conclusions, assumptions, and hypotheses, we can conclude that on the sun, like any other star, a civilization could exist of higher energy informational entities. Modern science is not yet ready to recognize such a concept, but in the minds of the esoteric sense, these statements are doubtless. There are plasmoids on Earth too. Each of us has at least once discovered spherical orbs in photographs. Researchers have found that these energy bodies are conscious and capable of reproducing. Tesla, Hoyle, ball lightning, and orbs. Nikola Tesla also spoke about the plasma form of life. In 1893, he wrote that our world was created by an energy impulse and is controlled by energy entities. An obvious supporter of the intelligence of plasmoids was the British and American astronomer, science fiction writer, Sir Fred Hoyle. Until his death in 2001, he taught astronomy at several universities to develop the theory of the evolution of red giants. Hoyle first used the term Big Bang to describe the origin of the universe. He outlined his theories about intelligent plasma forms in the science fiction novel Black Cloud. Allegedly during a supernova explosion, a cloud of intelligent plasma appears, moving in space and charging from the stars. The black cloud was dedicated to a certain cloud based on cold plasma, born during supernova explosions, a highly developed object that wanders freely in space, periodically recharging from the stars. In a number of his comments, Hoyle more than once discussed the so-called plasmic life forms in which he believed. But as a scientist, in the absence of direct evidence, he was forced to limit himself to it being science fiction. Other supporters of the version of the intelligence of plasmoids suggest that the consciousness of people is interconnected and is part of the consciousness of the universe. The other part could be non-biological intelligent life forms in the form of plasmoids. In this case, the boundaries of living and non-living should be reconsidered. These energy beings are radically different from our protein nucleic structure. Therefore, many representatives of this form of life are invisible to ordinary vision, but appear in photographs, infrared, and ultraviolet light. A large number of plasmoids are recorded in cemeteries, in areas of geological faults, in places where a person recently died, and it's quite possible that when dying and crossing to the other side, a person loses his body and all that remains of him is his energy essence, which is a plasmoid. In many traditions, it's exactly what the description of the stage of enlightenment looks like. The enlightened one is a kind of fiery entity similar to a person. Plasmoids do not like increasing attention for people and try to do everything not to be detected. But with the advent of modern digital filters, people began to photograph them more and more often. The plasmoid has some kind of intelligence, and knowing that it is a clot with powerful energy, we can assume that they interfere in the life of a person on Earth. They influence the course of an event, the decision that a person makes. There is indirect evidence that plasmoids interfere with people's lives and even control some processes. Recently, modern smartphones with a photochrome filter were presented to customers, which made it possible to capture infrared radiation invisible to the eye and see objects through. The photographs taken by such cameras reveal what we usually do not see, the secret world of energy beings. However, before gadgets with this function had time to go on sale, the entire batch was withdrawn from showrooms, and the manufacturer announced that the filter would be changed to avoid privacy problems. Can you guess who influenced this decision and why? Despite all the conspiracy, the life of plasma creatures has already been quite well studied by various scientists. They found that the main habit of plasmoids is the ionosphere, located at an altitude of about 50 kilometers above the ground. They are also present under our feet, deep underground, and ball lightning is one of the aggressive manifestations of intelligent plasma life. According to esotericists, ball lightning can also be interpreted as a certain entity that has penetrated to us from another world, the world of spirits, or another dimension. In parallel with us, there is another form of life on Earth, plasma, and it's increasingly beginning to come into contact with people from all over the Earth. Surveillance cameras record attacks on people and animals by an invisible force. Have our worlds started to blend again? But if the living mingle with the dead, the end of the world will begin, and description of which is found in both ancient texts and the Bible, when the sky fell to the ground. A researcher discovered a black hole of a regular triangular shape in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. It may just be an island, but how do you explain the shape of the shadow? It could be the result of interaction of currents in this part of the Pacific Ocean, but this is just one theory. Seismologists, University of Bristol, have published the result of their research. They've discovered a new hidden world in the Earth's core. It turns out that the Earth's core is not monolithic, is not a dense iron ball, but in fact looks from the outside like an ancient mechanism. Scientists from various fields of knowledge are confident that we live in an age of unprecedented transformations. Not only the outlines of continents are changing, but also the idea of the structure of our world. It's not at all as unambiguous as it was seen before. The information preserved in ancient legends is actually a warning to us living now in the 21st century. The upcoming global changes associated not so much with solar activity, but with the activity of man himself, and we must learn to adapt to them, as they will affect all aspects of life, and predictions about the connections of the two worlds may very soon turn out to be our new reality. Nothing stands still, everything changes. This is the cosmic law, and we and our planet are part of this cosmos. And yet one day giant streams of solar plasma may change the solar flows of the Earth, and humanity could be living in a new reality in the plasma era. And we know from heart math that our prayers, our intentions, our good thoughts, our positive thoughts can stop even earth changes, earth catastrophes, and even solar catastrophes. And that has been proven by experiments by heart math. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. This is on Soul Ask. Please support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support, and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.